Hey, how's it going? I hope you're doing good. So I'm just getting ready to, I'm gonna go sit outside just for a minute today. I was out there a couple times earlier today, but I had to come back in. So, what I'm doing is just putting on some stuff here so I can stay warm outside. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna get something to drink, just a can of soda. I don't think I'm going to bring any food this time. I've sort of been just doing up and down today. So, probably take the stairs, and so I'll just get a cola here. I'll put on my hat, but it's warm in my apartment, so I'll do that out here. I'm just basically gonna come on out here. Try to turn that down. There we go. Oh man. So the Wi-Fi from my apartment will connect and disconnect. It'll go off for just a minute and then it'll come back. So see there, it just comes back. That's good. So try to go out into the park today. So I'm gonna go back around. Oh man. Like I said in the post, it's definitely cold. I wanted to say damp, but I don't always like typing damp. But you can see the sidewalk, you know, getting some of that vegetation, that growth from continuous. That's where I was going last night. Last night I went right up there, but you see they got that gravel area. Or rocky area, not necessarily rocky, just it's got laid stones down, and so I went out there. I saw that bunny, and then I came back through, and so when I came back through, I was like, oh wow, there's a bunny running around there, but I couldn't really see. So we got a large pile of snow over there, and the water out over here. So people are out in the park. You got families out here. Families are out in the park here today. So just come down and look at the ponds and things like that. So it is nice today. When I sit here, there's a bench right here, but there's a garbage can right next to the bench. So in the summer or whatever, a couple of years ago, I got real mad. I'd sit out here where it's raining or wet or whatever. The wood benches do stay a little bit warm. Not warm, wet when it rains. So if you sit on them, I don't know, something about sitting right here, right so close. I don't know if you can see. It's just literally about 25 feet from the pond. The ducks are swimming. So, and there is a garbage. So if it gets real hot in the summer, and you know, any garbage and stuff, sorry, cut out and cut back in there. So we are just kind of out here today. I feel like going for a little bit of a walk. The only trouble is that if I go up around here, I kind of drop down there. I went running just like randomly for a day, you know, for a morning, a couple minutes. The ground is so wet over there, you squish down into the grass. If I go over this way, I got to come running back, walking back up. It's a little bit of a climb as it kind of curves down and around. What I think I'm going to do is we got a fireplace going. So what I'm probably going to do is just go sit out here near the fireplace again, but I don't actually feel like being near that fire right now. What I might do is go sit at this bench. I haven't been there in a while. I can have a soda, sit at the bench there, and just kind of relax and stuff. So sort of been cutting my hair a little bit, like just trying to figure it out and stuff like that. It's not really the easiest. You know, sort of set a way to do it. Now this bench may be wet again, so It's actually dry. It's sort of a soft wet. You know, like it's not a real like dry wood bench, but you can see the bench is still cracked. It hasn't been, that board or that thing hasn't been fixed or whatever. So I'm gonna have a soda, just kind of sit here for a minute. So I guess I'm gonna be without a car for a while. I don't know exactly how that's gonna be, but I think it's actually gonna be okay. I'll mostly stay here, and then just like go to the grocery store or whatever, I think. So I think Walmart is a little bit farther than I'd like to walk. By the time you get there, as the spring warms up, whether we have a longer sort of cold winter or we go right into spring, as you get, you walk, a mile, mile and a quarter, mile and a half, mile and 2/3, right? You get a little bit warm walking to the grocery store. You say, if I buy anything that's got to stay cold or whatever, even if I, have a cooler or, something to keep the food cold or warm, by the time I get home, I just, it's not going to be as good. So it'll probably keep me closer around here. And after already looking at some of the ways to, get, stuff delivered, the premium, the cost that goes up, you probably can't, I'm probably not going to be able to do very much of that. So I'm pretty much just looking at kind of staying here and just kind of eating the food that I have and stuff like that. So yeah, I sort of have this false idea. I guess that's really where I'm at. You sort of think, well, as I progress in life, right? I go from childhood, right? You've got big birthday parties. You think, oh, this is going to be a big birthday party, right? Your parents do everything they can to make sure you get what you want, the things that you asked for your birthday or whatever. And then kind of school, right? You got sports or games or, whatever. And then somehow you get to that point, you think, oh, I did really good, but it doesn't necessarily get better, or, the things, I want to say the weird word, tangentially. It's like, you think, oh, I'm going to get like an amazing new invented birthday cake, right? But instead what you really need is like, not a good pair of shoes to exercise in, but, some like a pair of shoes that doesn't give you blisters, right? And so the shoes you have may be fine, but every time you play your soccer match, right, as a kid, you get a big blister on the back of your foot, right? So you start thinking about this stuff as a kid. You're 5 years old or whatever. You're like, what's this amazing birthday cake gonna look like, right? My mom made one. It was like a space shuttle type thing, like sort of a squared sort of space shuttle. I was like, what's that gonna be, But then, maybe, I'm not saying the cake made me sick. I guess it had that powder, not the powder, the shredded coconut. Shredded sweet coconut is probably one of the best cooking, baking things, in my opinion. I think it's actually better than the, just raw cookie dough. Raw cookie dough basically started as like, your mom's making cookies. She's stirring it in the bowl. She sets it there. You come in. You're like, oh, I'll just have a little, spoonful of that or whatever. And then it sort of took off from there, I guess. But for me, it was the bags of sweetened, shredded coconut that you could top on things. You could put it on cookies or cakes. And it was shredded. You could take like a little pinch of it. And it was kind of chewy and sweet. And it was sort of like, not cured or dried, but it was, not crunchy or sweet or it just sort of, it was kind of a, you could chew on it a little bit. So that, in my opinion, was absolute best. But sometimes, coconut, just eating raw coconut or even sweetened shredded coconut, in a bag, from the baking section of the grocery store, you'll get a little bit sick. So mom makes this cake, sort of a space shuttle, not like a, rolling curvy space shuttle, but like, straight sort of, and it's got the shredded coconut on top. I'm like, oh, this is so good. That's the invention of the, that's the new, cake or whatever. And then I get a little sick. I'm like, oh, man, and I don't remember it now, right? I'm just being sort of, in my childhood, whatever. But sometimes you say, what I really need, is I really need to play an entire soccer match without getting a blister on the back of my ankle, or on my toe or whatever. And so when I talk about tangenitally, right, most of my childhood, and even now, I thought, oh, it's going to go away. I'll think more literal about everything, But, what I really need, what I'm really thinking about, right, is like, oh, I'm going to get that new car, that awesome car, SUV. It's what's in the rap videos, right? The super car, whatever. But in reality, right, every time I talk to my mom, like, no one shows up. I'm posting on Twitter. I don't get anybody coming here. But tangentially, right, what I need, right, is just simply, I need to be able to, go to this Chinese restaurant, order food, bring it home, and basically not get sick, right? So that sort of takes, a much higher precedence. But you don't think about it all the time, right? Right? It's like something still gets me to go to that restaurant and order that item that maybe is the only item that I think will make me feel better. But when I think tangentially about something, I'm thinking, oh, that big car, that fast, awesome, expensive car I'm going to magically get somehow. And in the reality, it just doesn't happen, right? Right? So you get let down a little bit. But sometimes you're like, I'm able to sit on a bench and have a soda and not get sick every 15 minutes. Which at times for me, in my sort of early adulthood was actually sort of an accomplishment, a success, really. But you don't think about it every day. I mean, you just say, oh yeah, I gotta go to work, right? Some people, not really, some people just basically me, as a child, the way you looked at it, you said, if we don't stop this, right, by the time I get to be 18, I actually can apply for a job. You won't actually be able to sit through an interview, right, and answer any questions without having to go to the bathroom immediately. So, you want a car and a cake and an invention, but what I really wanted and got was the ability to sit through a job interview, and then as I got older, actually get a job, right? So that's what I mean. So, but you do also have the buildup, right? The big rap songs, the big movies, the faster, sports cars, automobiles, right? Those sort of magical items. They're not really magical. They're just like physical items that look sexy, right? Sexy cars, sexy clothes, sexy nightclubs, sexy shoes, right? Everything, right? $1 million this, $1 million that, but, you basically just say, well, I probably need to be able to order Chinese food, without getting sick. So, in the meantime, you have money or whatever, bankruptcy, credit cards, declined credit cards, right? Declined credit card applications, right? Terminations from the job, all that type of stuff. So, I mean, and that's the difference. People older than me, didn't worry about going to the bathroom. They worried about not being able to go to the bathroom, right? Right? I'm saying like, hey, I want to be able to sit through an interview without going to the bathroom. People that 5, 10, 20 years older than me were like, we're worried we're going to go to one of those sexy places, those sexy dance clubs, those sexy nightclubs, wear the sexy clothes, the sexy shoes, and then we're not going to be able to go to the bathroom, right? So, you flying up there with all those birds, this kid running around here, showing up at the convenience store in the back of a car, trying to buy a Snickers bar with coins on the register, we're worried about not being able to go to the bathroom. You're worried about going to the bathroom all the time. So, and then something happens, right? And everybody sort of forgets. It's like, yeah, we want to make more money. So those birds are just flying up there. There's so many of them up there. Must be over 230. I don't know. I'm not counting. I'm just giving a number. I mean, I don't know if you can see them right here flying through. They're just groups of fish. I mean, not groups of fish. I got confused. I was going to say herds of fish. No, school of fish. Flocks of birds. Herds of fish, school of birds. I don't know. Get everything mixed up. Yeah, that was the other one. People who had head injuries and stuff like that, they just simply wanted to, not get words totally mixed up, right? So it's a weird Pacific Northwest weather night. It's like the sky's blue and gray. I feel like the clouds could precipitate, but they don't. And the only way I would call this would be a gray dusk. But I know that's not really the right term. But it's like, I don't know, sometimes growing up too, like at night there'd be like a rainstorm, or not a rainstorm, a windstorm. But it was unusually warm, right? Like 58, 62 degrees in like late November, early December at night, and, it's like it's windy, they're talking about the branches are going to break, the pathways may get all, leaves and stuff, but it's almost like the sky is like a little bit orange or something. And it's not thunder, it's not lightning, it's not rain. It's just a windstorm. But it's 58, 62 degrees at night. You're like, it's such weird weather, I don't know what though. At some point, you sometimes think like, God, it's like, it sounds like, it's like through the skyish clouds, there's like a power plant, right? Like buzzing or humming. This like energy or this stuff into the sky or making the sky orange or whatever, but like it's not in the land area, and it's obviously not up in the air, right? But it's like, sort of this power plant type of sound or energy, like making the sky like orange or even just sort of a dull kind of gray blue. On the video, right, it looks sort of very white and bright. Right, but as I look back on these clouds and stuff, they're blue and sort of gray, and it's maybe just a couple degrees warmer than I think it should. The snow, the ice has melted so fast, but not within the same day. It lasted a few days, but now it's just like still, it's sort of damp, kind of cold. You're like, but it's a little bit warmer. Like it doesn't kind of like chill down or freeze at night, you just, there was a couple times in New York, it'd be like this. It'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going to walk home. I got my coat on. My body stays warm because I'm walking in the city. You hop into that restaurant or whatever, you get that broth, that soup, or, whatever the dish is that you want to order that keeps your whole body warm, You make your way home, and I don't know what the word for it is. It's like epic or something like that, but not like an event or an incident or something. It's just like, oh yeah, like gonna walk home or whatever. But you don't need a hat on immediately, right? I guess that's the difference, right? My hands don't freeze immediately, right? I don't, my ears get cold, but they don't like, it's not like a danger temperature immediately, right? Which you would think, after the recent weather or whatever. So you say, oh, if I'm outside 10, 20, 30 minutes, I'll put on a hat or whatever. But the only thing I can think of is, sort of, 25 to 35 years old in New York City, Brooklyn, Queens or whatever. They make some money, they rent apartments, they live together, they've got kind of a group of friends or whatever, just all different ones, all different groups and stuff like that. It's like, oh, there's going to be a, massive, inclement weather, New York or whatever. We better go to the bar and, buy vodka or whatever, we're going to have, dollar drinks or $3 drinks or whatever. They write the chalkboard on the sign, right? Because everybody lives around there. There's buildings everywhere, right? So when you get those bad weather warnings, everybody sort of lives close. It's like, let's go to the, the local bar or whatever and have a few drinks, we stocked up on booze and stuff like that, alcohol, whiskey or whatever, bourbon, scotch, vodka, whatever. So... But I mean, the bottles of that stuff are expensive, $35, $45, $65, to have it at home or whatever. You go to the bar, whatever the individual drink prices are and stuff. I mean, you think how much money you spend on all that stuff, If you get mad, you're like, oh, it's just alcohol, it evaporates, You drink some of it, but, if it spills or it just sits in a bottle or whatever... oh, what a wasted night. I got so sick, or they were screaming and yelling, or, whatever else, But on nights like that, everything seems sort of like, business, going to work, going to school, but I still somehow, I think that's the appeal of Europe, It's like, it feels like it could, the weather a little bit, like instead of having sort of these long drives to, giant supermarkets and stuff. You'd live sort of in a city with building to building, stuff like that. You just sort of walk the local, grocer or whatever, make your way home or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it. So anyway, I'm going to end there, head back inside. It's getting time. I got to put on my hat. It is getting a little bit colder. So, finish my soda inside. I hope you're doing well. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.